Hey everybody, how's it going? It's me again, Dianetics, or as some of you may prefer to call me, Marisa. Either way is fine with me, and I hope you all are having a wonderful Thursday afternoon. Yeah, I got the bling bling going on. Bling bling, money ain't a thing. No, I always wear a lot of jewelry, and I wear this Xenu necklace just as I don't know, just to be kind of funny. So I hope you all are doing well, and uh, in making this video. I think I'm going to give Slobonzo a break today, or for now, at least, momentarily. I think he was saying he wasn't feeling too well or he was having some health issues. So I hope Slobonzo is doing well, feeling well, that is. And Slobonzo, it's generally not a good idea to continually start fights, harass, and provoke people if your health may not be in the best of shape. You should focus on your mind, your body, and your soul instead of focusing on 10-year-old little girl drummers, Nora being in her baby crib, or me, and my 18-year-old boobies that you used to like to talk about. So that's just my advice to you. Take some vitamin C, some Calmay. Hopefully you'll get back up on the mend and maybe we'll see you in a few days. So this video primarily, and by the way, I wanted to tell you the reason why I've been wearing these sunglasses, I'm not trying to look cool or hip. I'm calling these my jerk off sunglasses because I'm going to wear these until Slobonzo can stop jerking off to me and writing blogs and making posts about me that are very sexualized. So these are my jerk off sunglasses. I hope you all enjoy them. Couple of interesting things happened over the last couple of days, and it got me thinking about why there is such a problem in this anti-Scientology movement where people are fighting constantly, tormenting each other, harassing each other, just being extremely mean, nasty, and vile. I've never seen anything like this, and I'm a part of several other YouTube communities, and this shit doesn't go on. It's just here. I truly don't get it. I think it's really easy for all of us to get along with each other. There was a point where we were pretty unified and people were nice to each other, and I don't know when things went wrong. Well, I kind of do. It was numerous various things that sort of snowballed into each other. Um, we're all adults here, and it's very easy to just be kind and respectful and nice. I'm sure blowouts are going to happen and people are not going to get along. But if it's a blowout between those of us that grew up in Scientology, we'll take Aaron and Nora for an example and their blowout. You guys, that's between them. Doesn't give you all a right to invade their personal lives and act like it's affecting you and it's you directly. Because it doesn't. And that we have a huge problem going on with parasocial cult groupies. And I'm sure many of you know what the term parasocial means. It's kind of like when you feel like you have a personal relationship with people in cyberspace that you don't know, but you delusionally become obsessed and you think you're a part of their lives. If you all remember Stephanie Hutchinson, she was probably the poster girl of parasocial relationships. And I forget who came up with the term cult groupie, if it was I or Doug. or both of us together. But Doug and I used to say to when we would talk all the time about how much we can't stand cult groupies. And cult groupies are people, you know how like famous rock bands, they always have girls backstage waiting for them to have sex with them or to hang out with them or to talk to them in person. Groupies, right? We have groupies here in the ex-Scientology world, believe it or not. And it's the strangest phenomenon. We have people that follow us, try to meet us, go around, and but to a point that it's like not healthy. And I have met several people that follow this movement. I've met them in person, and they're amazing people, and I've developed lasting friendships with them. But they do it in a sane and rational way, where they're not overly fanatically obsessed with me. So, cult groupies are people that follow us around with this dazed look on their eye, and they think that they're actually living in our world. And they are very disillusioned, and it's like this fantasy land that they live in. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy for them, and it's not healthy for us. And I think that that's where a lot of these problems stem from, because a lot of these cult groupies start to think that they are involved in our fights and our quarrels and that they are living our lives. And, you know, um, the other day, actually yesterday, I was in a chat with Nora, and Lindsay was in there. And it was my first time corresponding with Lindsay, and it was very nice. Lindsay has experienced some cult groupies, and she's not even an ex-Scientologist. She's had people call child support, or not child support, child protective services, trying to call her job, doing this. Those are cult groupies, Lindsay, the people that do that to you. And I know they've since apologized to you, but I would not forgive those people that have done that to you, because they are dangerous and they're going to do it to you again. And it's an unhinged obsession that those people have. Again, it's a very disillusioned, unhinged obsession. So that's my advice to you, because the people or person that did that to you, that was totally disgusting, repulsive, and uncalled for. And one of those people has a tendency to do that to various people. Because again, she is a cult groupie and thinks she's living in our world and our life, and she's not. So, with that being said, there's this misconception about second gen Scientologists that, like, we're all a bunch of dorks. We lived on a ship our whole life. We don't know our ass from a hole in the ground. You know, yada, yada, yada. It's only a small percentage of us where that's the truth. There are many of us, like myself. Uh, I was born and raised in Scientology. I grew up in a public Scientology household. Public Scientology. Just like Slobonzo. That's why I know he's full of shit with the stuff that he says. And I know I said I wasn't going to bring Slobonzo into this, but I'm sort of remembering something right now, so I have to bring him up. I remember Slobonzo saying that he used to audit children, and he would ask the children, "Are you here on your own determinism?" Slobonzo, that does not happen. I was never asked, and I come from a public Scientology upbringing. There is no auditing question. There is nothing that says, "Are you here on your own determinism?" Because if that question was asked before an auditing session, the Church of Scientology would go bankrupt within 2 months, because the majority of recipients would say, "No, I'm not here on my own determinism." So learn your facts, bud, because your rendition of how public Scientology and the public orgs work, It's bullshit, and you're full of shit. Sorry. Um, so losing track again, which is what I always tend to do. Oh, so yes, this misconception that we're all a bunch of clueless dorks. I was born and raised in Scientology. I also grew up in an inner city public school system in a very rough neighborhood. I grew up around nothing but gangbangers, drug dealers, tons of gang violence. In fact, you guys might think this is funny. I used to think I was a little wannabe chola. I had like the Mi Vida Loca, all that stuff, cruising in the Ramfla, cruising down the calle, all that shit, smoking mota, drinking 40s. I did that because I didn't want to be ethical and I didn't want to save the planet. I didn't want to be a Scientologist. Whenever I would go to these events and watch David Miscavige saying his hip hip hooray dorky ass shit, and I look back on it now. It's been about 25 years the last time I've stepped foot into an org, and I remember back then David Miscavige would say this big thing about planetary dissemination and how Scientology is the world's fastest growing religion and it's going to take over the planet. And here we are 25 years later and Scientology is nothing. And I used to think to myself as a child, for a group that says that they're accomplishing all of these major social changes and that the whole world is like going crazy for Scientology and wanting to be a part of it, I used to think, I've never seen one time where anyone at the org helped anyone in the community or did any social betterment projects. Not one time. So yeah, I wanted to hang out with all of the cholas, drug dealers, and the troublemakers, and I wanted to be as unethical as humanly possible because I did not want to be an ethical Scientologist. Which means I know a thing or two about what's up in life. I really do. I always say I grew up in Scientology, but I also grew up in the streets as well. So that brings me to the next point. I'm going to start calling out the people who are lurking around this community, who are cult groupies that serve zero purpose except to taunt, harass, and humiliate us because you all are miserable pieces of shits. I'm going to start calling some of you out. I was in a chat the other day, not sure if you're familiar with Boss Talks podcast. I joined, went in there, been watching his podcast for a few weeks now, and I feel at home in there. It's a little more rough, kind of urban street level type crowd in there. You got to know how to talk some shit and roll with the punches, which I'm sure most of you who have seen me by now know that I really have no problem doing that. And I attribute that to my upbringing in a shitty neighborhood around a bunch of gangbangers on the streets. It's got nothing to do with Scientology, outside of maybe me having to learn how to bull bait people by 8 years old. That kind of helps teach you how to, use a creative, expressive way of putting people down. But that in combination with growing up in the inner city, rough neighborhood, I felt at home in Boss Talks podcast. And everyone was, doing their thing. Here I am minding my own business. I kind of chimed in, said a few things. And this cult groupie named, I think she goes by Miss J or Mrs. J, she pops up. Which I thought was a little funny because I could tell she was very out of her element and that she's not used to talking to black and brown people. Could tell she was very uncomfortable. And a couple people were like, Mrs. J, why are you in here? Why were you in here after you made this video of whatever video it was that she made? So all I said was, Mrs. J goes wherever there's drama because she likes to taunt and harass and humiliate people that grew up in Scientology. It's some sort of demented therapy she has for herself. Then Mrs. J comments and says, well, Marisa, why don't you talk about how Aaron Smith Levin is paying you? Mrs. J, no one in Boss Talks podcast gives two shits about Aaron. Wrong podcast, girl. That's what I mean. You're out of your element. You're in a podcast that's primarily people from Los Angeles. Kind of like I said, a little more fucking urban street culture. It's a little above and beyond an element that you will never understand. So I just told Mrs. J that this is not about Aaron and, kind of just kept going and going at it. And then a few people were like, why don't you leave, Mrs. J? And I said, yeah, why don't you leave? And then she left. I think because she got embarrassed because she knew she made a complete jackass out of herself. So to address this thing, Mrs. J, since you seem to be overly obsessed with me, and I've seen you make posts on your YouTube of, like, my head almost spun when I saw this interview with Marisa and Aaron. Oh my God. First of all, I should not be having that large of an emotional impact on you where you feel like your head is spinning. And secondly, you're not my accountant. You don't pay my bills. You are not involved in my personal life, and you don't know me. And I never said anything about SPTV paying me. I said I thanked them for helping me. And let's just say that they did pay me. Are you my accountant and do you handle my personal finances? No, you don't. Which means it's none of your fucking business. So when I have people like Mrs. J try to act like invasive parasocial creeps in my life, I'm going to start publicly calling them out. Because I know I'm not the only one having a problem with her. The problem with Mrs. J is she is a very disillusioned cult groupie who believes that she's watching a Harry Potter movie with all of us. Her posts about, oh, it's OSA, and oh my God, everybody's being paid by OSA. And it's like, Mrs. J, this is not a world full of sorcery and wizardry and magical dragons and gargoyles. Scientology is really not that fucking exciting, hun. So you kind of need to get a reality adjustment. And I really don't believe your story that you come from a cult upbringing of, you said Pentecostal something. I don't believe you. I heard your story. It makes absolutely no sense. I know a lot of Pentecostals, and I think you're jealous of Marilyn, and you're trying to act like you have the same story as Marilyn. Because I remember when this first began with you. And I think you were using Marilyn as a way to kind of get in the door and act like you're cool with everybody. But I think you're full of shit. And if you're not, start making videos about your life and your culty upbringing. Until then, don't worry about what I do. And I know Alonzo started that whole rumor that Aaron is paying me. Let's take a look at this for a second. I have a job. I have a career, okay? And Miss J, maybe this is something that is foreign to you, but there are some women that know how to financially support themselves on their own. Why the fuck would I need to get paid monthly by Aaron to talk shit to Alonzo, or you for that matter, when I can happily do it for free, which I've been doing to Alonzo for the past decade and numerous other people? You think that I need to get a fucking monthly stipend to tell people to fuck off? I mean, that makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. So, yeah, those little Harry Potter delusional fantasies you have, please stop because they're fucking annoying. And you've been a part of some of the most vile, toxic, disgusting sewage in this community that you have contributed to. And you sit back and you say, "Oh, I'm just taking a piss," added, "I'm just taking a piss." And I remember one time you even told me that you hope that I heal. You know what a sign of healing is? Is telling people to fuck off, not putting up with people fucking with them and harassing them, and telling them to pull their disillusioned head out of their cult groupie asses like I tell you. That's a sign of healing. All right, Mrs. J? You know what's not a sign of healing is sitting around watching a bunch of people that grew up in Scientology and messing with them and being very foul, vile, and cruel because you have some sadistic fetish of fucking with people that you think are inferior to you. And then you turn around and you want to do this roll over and play dead when it comes back to you and say, "Oh my God, I'm being picked on." No, you're not being picked on. I think you need to work on yourself. And whatever situation you have, whatever bad problems you have, why don't you try making the world a better place for yourself and others instead of being a toxic, vile hag? Now, I get told by many people that I'm mean, and I'm not mean at all. I'm probably one of the nicest people you will meet in this movement. I'm very nice. And if you notice, I don't start things with people. I mind my own business, but I always have people come along that want to say some stupid shit to me. They want to insult me and just be a complete disrespectful shitbag. And then I pop off on them, and then they realize, oh, fuck, I said that to the wrong person. And then I get called the bad guy because I defended myself. And my insults happen to be about 10 times better than most people that try to talk shit to me. So again, that goes back to the lesson of treat people kindly and treat people with respect. And you wouldn't have to worry about people like me popping off on you. Another example, I had this guy named David B. Who I always see people talking about him. Is this the dude that's like causing a lot of havoc? Because if he is, I have no idea why. He came into my video the other day and left a comment saying, "Oh, good video. Oh, sorry, wrong one." You know, doing a little duck and run thing. David B, was that supposed to hurt my feelings or make me feel like shit? Because if it was, you did a pretty shitty job. And that was like, my 5-year-old nephew has better insults and comebacks than that. So while we were in Boss Talks podcast, David B was in there. He kind of started trying to pop off on me again, and I just let him have it. And then he says, "Wow, that Dianetics chick is mean." You think, David B? You think? You shouldn't start shit and provoke me and be a rude fucking asshole. Then I wouldn't have to put your ass in place. So why don't you start being a little bit more kind, treating people a little bit more nicely? The third and final one, and this is going to be absolutely hilarious. I almost don't even want to say this douchebag's name, but I mean, I have to. When I was in Nora's chat yesterday, that dude, Shelfless Shelf, came up. Yeah, shelfless shelf. You guys know what a floating shelf is? I'm going to show you a picture of one. Let me turn this around. You see that? That thing going across the wall, that's a floating shelf. It's pretty much a shelf that, I don't know, just goes across a wall, floating shelf. So, I'm minding my own business once again in Nora's chat, and shelfless shelf pops in and says, "Hey, Dianetics, are there any rumors that you've heard lately that you would like to report as a fact?" You're not a very bright guy, are you, shelfless shelf? I mean, I know you have a master's degree because you have to say it like 50 times a day because you think we're all a bunch of inferior dumb fucks. And let me tell you something. My boyfriend is an engineer, and my daughter's dad is a physician, and they have more education in their pinky than you have in your entire body multiplied by 10. And I hate to even bring that up, but I am so tired of you, and I can't stand people that have to constantly rub in people's face, "Oh, I have a master's degree. I'm better than you because I have a degree." You know who else does that? Is Chris Shelton with his fake degree. And Shelfless, you are an example of that saying on how there is a difference between being educated versus being intelligent. Is you may be educated, but you sure in the fuck are not intelligent, buddy, with that stupid shit that you said to me yesterday. And since you wanted to initiate this for no reason, I'm going to give you a response. First of all, you asked me if there's any rumors I have that I would like to report as fact. A rumor would be something that, where facts are not known. But I would say in your situation, you have a court-documented criminal charge that occurred with you before. I would not call that a rumor, buddy. I would call that a documented fact. And if you think that the court system got it wrong, you might want to tell that court system to remove your record and tell them that they are falsely slandering you. Because until then, as far as I'm concerned, it's a documented fact. Then you went on to say that, God, what the fuck was the dumb shit you were saying to me? Oh, you were trying to blame it on your wife. Oh, got a call coming in. Anyways, yeah, you tried blaming it on your wife when I didn't even say anything about your wife. If you're gonna say shit to me, you need to put your big boy pants on and, mano y mano, kind of handle it with me. I didn't say anything about your wife. What I said was about you and your record, and I said this over a year ago. And then Defender of Boofs, I guess, found out, and man, he's giving you a run for your money on that one. The Boston Strangler thing, I didn't even understand the correlation to that, but then I realized oh shit, you tried strangling your ex-girlfriend or your ex-wife that you were having an extramarital affair with. Holy fuck. Now I understand why they're using the Boston Strangler euphemism, which I'm not saying that I agree with, but what do you expect, buddy? What do you expect? See, you're in a platform that's 75% women, and the reason I called you out for this a long time ago is because I got tired of you trying to act like some knight in shining armor, going on and on about Aaron, and Aaron cheated, and Aaron did this, and Aaron is an abuser. You know what? If you're going to be a man in this arena and try to act like knight in shining armor to us women, you better have a squeaky clean background. You better have the background of a saint when it comes to women. Because if you all don't know about it by now, if you have something on your record, it's going to be found out. That's why I'm always an open book about mine. I have a reckless driving conviction from 2016. Yeah, kind of a shitty driver. So, anyways, Shelfless, I don't know why you went after me. You went after me. You attacked me. I responded, and then you roll over and play dead and say, oh, you're attacking me. No, Dilrod, I responded to your attack. And as far as your charges being dropped, congratulations. I know how our system works, being that I've had a misdemeanor or two, and the reason your charges were dropped is because most likely you had to take some anger management classes that teach you how not to strangle women and beat the fuck out of them. And you probably had to do a criminal diversion program to prove that you're not going to beat the fuck out of women anymore, and then your charges get dropped. Isn't that right? Yeah, that's right. I know how our system works. So don't act like it's some victorious thing that you were vindicated and nothing happened. I am kind of curious, though, how many anger management classes did they make you take for that one? Did you have to take 40 hours? Did you have to take 8 weeks worth? Be nice to know if you could give a lesson. And, yeah, don't accuse me of bringing your wife into this because I did not say anything about her. I actually have respect for that woman because I know that she wears the pants in the relationship and she's supporting your ass, isn't she? She's the one putting dinner on the dinner table at night for you because I don't think you do jack shit. Now, do you? So, next time you see me in a chat, show a little bit of respect and common courtesy and don't say dumb shit to me because if you ask me a stupid question, you're going to get a very stupid answer that's probably going to make you very embarrassed. So, moral of the story, and I hate to have to do this, but like I said, I'm going to start calling these people out because it's just past time where you all need to, like, why are you here? I'm asking some of you, you people that get off on tormenting us and watching us 8 hours a day, and a lot of you actually take several hours of your day out to make videos about us, which I think is very fucking bizarre. But you know that we don't like parasocial cult groupies. We don't like being stalked. We don't like being harassed. So if you know you're in a place where you're not really liked or wanted, why do you stick around? I don't get it. I really, really don't get it. So that's really just what I wanted to get off of my chest. And one last thing, I did have, I've had a couple people leave comments going on and on saying, well, you need to cover this and you need to talk about so-and-so because so-and-so protester is upset because, and I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not a babysitter for middle-aged adults. And this is a protest movement to hopefully bring down the tax exemption and religious status of the Church of Scientology. This is a fight. And if you're someone that gets really like hurt feelings and you don't want anybody picking on you and you can't handle some fucking heat, this is probably not a good movement for you because we could be some mean motherfuckers. And there's people like me that I do not tolerate any bullshit. And if you try to insult me or confront me or say dumb things like shelfless shelf and Miss J, I am going to return the favor and most likely make you feel like shit about yourself. So if you people can't handle that and you don't know how to treat people nicely and act like civilized adults, you probably shouldn't be around here because I don't think this is the right movement for some of you. So with that being said, I'm going to go for now. Hopefully some people can start acting a little more civilized. And again, I am not a mean person. I just don't take any shit. I don't like being fucked with and I don't like people being assholes to me. It's not a Scientology thing. That's a real world non-Scientology thing, actually. Because every non-Scientologist I know, they don't take any shit either. So be kind to each other. Be kind to yourselves. And until next time, take care.